welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for all your support on my first vlog. I had so much fun making that for you guys, and I'm even more excited for today's video because it is one of probably the second most asked questions I get, which is how I got into photography. So today I'm going to do more of a sit down and a Q&A at the end, answering some questions you guys had regarding that topic. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so this is a story that I feel like I've told 100,000 times, but mostly because it is the most asked question that I get, which is how I got into photography. So for those of you who don't know, I actually went to college for 4 years. Wow. I have a degree in communication from Michigan State University. I didn't really think that photography could be a career or a job or anything. I just thought it was something people did for a hobby. And it was always something I loved in college. I've loved taking pictures since I was little, but I just didn't think it was something you go to school for. You know, you go to school to be a doctor or a nurse or to work in public relations or communication or, you know, whatever it is. So I did the whole thing, graduated, and after college I was like, cool. Like, what am I gonna do now? I don't want a 9-to-5. Like, it's never been my personality. So at that time that I was going through all these motions of like, where am I gonna work? I had talked to my cousin who just had a baby, and her second baby was on the way, and I just kind of texted her and was like, hey, if you're looking for a babysitter, like, I'm very desperate for a job, so like, please hire me. It was just so ironic. At that time, her nanny had actually just quit on them, like, out of nowhere, and like, such a God thing. But I ended up, it was supposed to be just for a couple days, and then I just, like, the kids latched on to me and I really latched on to them, and ended up nannying for them for 4 years. I lived with them the whole time. I think it must have been like a year after nannying for them, I was going in the process. I'm like, oh cool, I've had like this stable nannying job, but like, where am I going from here? Like, what is my career? So basically, I was talking with my cousin, and I was kind of having like felt like a midlife crisis, even though I was like 22 years old. And I was like, what am I gonna do for my career? Like, I can't nanny forever. Like, this is great. I love living with you, but like, what am I gonna do from here? And then she just was like, why don't you do photography? Like, you love photography. It's one of your biggest passions. And I had that same mentality of, oh, you can't make money being a photographer. It's not a career, it's a hobby. And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, you love weddings. Why don't you try wedding photography? And it was just super funny because in high school I was a wedding singer. I traveled with the wedding band, and then in college I actually wanted to be a wedding planner. And then when she said that to me, it was like a light bulb went off, and I was like, wait a second, like, photographing weddings, that sounds like a dream. And literally, like, that next week, her and her husband had left out their camera for me. They had a really nice DSLR, and they were like, just take pictures of the kids, see if you like it, see if it works out. And I just became addicted and obsessed to taking pictures.
This is the wall that Cole took the majority of these photos, and this is kind of the centerpiece of our house. So these ones are particularly my favorite. Crying babies are the best.
I was shooting on the weekends, and then after nannying, like during the week, I was spending all my time editing. I was on YouTube learning everything I could because I was not at a place to pay for more schooling. So I was like, how can I learn how to do photography for free? And there are a lot of ways online that you can learn photography for free, let me tell you. I just got on YouTube, and if I didn't know how to do something, I would type it in YouTube and tons of videos would pop up. And this is a question I get a lot, is how did you learn photography? How did you like learn how to use your equipment? And YouTube, honestly, like, you do not, and I'm not like saying don't take a class, because that's great if you have the means to do that, but it's really not necessary. Like, there's so much free, like, invest that money in equipment and you can learn so much from like getting mentored by a photographer, which I did. YouTube, I think I bought, the most I spent on learning photography was about $70. I bought this like 12-week course, and I'm just not a school person. I think I watched the first video and then I was like, nah, I'll just come back to YouTube. 2013 opened my business, 2014 second shot for other photographers the whole year, and then 2015 I shot my first wedding. I will say you'll start to see a pattern of me liking to do things that are free. So I think that if you can teach yourself something for free, definitely take advantage of that opportunity. And then when it comes to advertising and comes to like putting yourself out there, Like, use your free resources, like take advantage of those. There's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's family, there's friends. Like, take advantage of all those, because that's going to be like your best entrance into building a portfolio, into getting your name out there when starting a business. You know, Facebook is flooded with like your parents' friends and your siblings' friends and their parents. So, and they're the most supportive people. Like, hometown people are the most supportive. So I was on Facebook all the time posting like, hey, if you know anyone like looking to have photos done, whether it be newborn or babies or family or engagement, weddings, anything, like, tag them in the comments or refer me to them, or send me their name so I can email them. With stuff like that, the worst thing that could happen if you reach out to someone is a no. Like, that's the worst case. Best case is a yes, and then you have an opportunity to build your portfolio. Instagram, I always say this in my mentoring sessions, is the more engaged you are, the more engaged others will be with what you're doing. So I know it's hard and much easier said than done, but posting often is like very required in the beginning stages of your business. And even now, like, I still post all the time, because it's true. It's, if you're posting all the time on your Instagram or Facebook, and maybe someone who sees it at that time doesn't need a photographer, but when they do, they'll say, oh, that girl Nicole, like, she's always posting about her photography and she's really good. I need a photographer right now. I'll reach out to her. And if you had never been posting or never are engaged, they don't know you exist. So like, you have to make yourself known, and just take advantage again of those free resources, because it's your best bet to like getting your name out there and building a portfolio without spending any money. So another question I get a lot is the move to California from Michigan, and how I transitioned from building clientele there to building clientele here. And I will say it is a lot easier to build a portfolio in the beginning stages of a business in your hometown, where you know most people, and it's word of mouth is easier and referrals are easier, and it's just easier in general. So I was able to build that and build my brand and build my business for 4 years. And then when I already had established that, I moved out here. And what I was doing before, the year before I moved, I was acting as if I already lived here. Like, my brand changed. Like, I started posting, like, I would fly out here probably every 3 months to do shoots, and it was definitely an investment to be posting about those, so that way when I came out here, it already looked like I'd been here. So I'd already had people reaching out to shoot for me, or for me to shoot them, because my Instagram made it look like I was already out here. So I was already marketing myself as if I was here. Yeah, so I was at a point where I just wanted more for my business and for myself, and I wanted to do more than weddings. My passion for photography was like expanding and growing as my business was growing, and I'd always wanted to live in LA my whole life since I was like 10. So I was like, why not LA? Wedding season year round. Like, in Michigan, you have a couple months where it's like super cold and super hard to photograph. So yeah, I made the move here, and I just had to have that same mentality. I think the first 6 months I was like, dang, like, I was shooting every day when I lived in Michigan, and my cousin had said to me, you have to act like you just started your business again. Like, you have to hustle the way you hustled here in Michigan when you first started your business. So I did that again, and I just was acting like it was a brand new business, and I just was hustling. I wasn't creating flyers, because social media made that easier for me not to have to do that, but I was shooting every opportunity I got. I think my first year in LA, I shot for free 90% of the time, but that's how I built my portfolio, and that's how I gained word of mouth. And every wedding I've booked since I've been here is from word of mouth from a client I shot for free. So you have to be willing to do things for free. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. If you want more work, if you want the word of mouth, you have to be willing to invest your time. Okay, so that was a little bit of my story of how I got into photography. I feel like I could talk about that forever, but I do want to jump into the questions that you guys asked me on my Instagram story. I'm excited about these. I think they flow really well with what we were just talking about. So yeah, let's dive into these questions. One of the first questions is, what was your first camera? I have a love-hate for this question, because I always feel bad when people ask me, like, what kind of camera do you recommend? Because I've only ever had the Mark III and the Mark IV. The 5D Mark III was my first camera, and I don't like to recommend or refer things if I haven't personally used them. So I know there are so many amazing cameras out there, but I'm only familiar with the ones I've used. So yeah, my first camera was the 5D Mark III, and my first lens was the Canon 35 1.4, and it's still my favorite lens of all time. So yeah, that answers that question. How did you afford all of the expensive equipment? Literally, they said. I know it's like so hard. This equipment is like literally so expensive. So I totally get it. I was really fortunate. I have a twin sister, for those of you who don't know, and she's always been the saver of the both of us, and I've always been the spender. So I knew she had some extra change that maybe if I asked nicely, she would loan me the money. So she loaned me a lump sum for my first camera and my first lens, and that was like literally such a huge blessing. Thank you, Natalie. And I paid her back in a year on all the money I had made in doing small shoots, which was like, it was a cool reward for me to be able to pay her back, and with what the investment the camera was for my business. How long should you shoot free shoots for just to get content and publicity? That's a really good question. I mean, I've been doing photography 8 years and I still do free shoots, not all the time, but when I feel like it's an investment for my business, then obviously I do it. I think in the beginning, it's so important and crucial to do free shoots, and I know it sucks and I know it's hard, and like everything, the equipment is expensive, the learning is expensive, like, but it's really an investment into your business. To do free shoots, because again, that's how you get word of mouth, and that's how you get other jobs, and that's how you're able to build a portfolio. I didn't really start making money until probably a year and a half or 2 years into my business, and really making money where I could put money aside and buy new equipment probably 3 years into it. So yeah, it really just depends on what you're comfortable with and how long you feel like there'll come a time in your business where you're like, I value my work a lot now, and I think I'm at a place where I can start charging more, or charging at all. Once you have a portfolio to show people and you love it and you feel good sending it to someone to make money, then I think you could have to decide for yourself at that point, like, what your time and what your work is worth. So the next question, what was your first gig? My first gig was a 60th birthday party, a 60th surprise birthday party that my cousin actually got me. It was her friend's dad's birthday party, and I remember, I think I shot like 4 or 5 hours in their backyard, and they had a ton of people, tents, like a whole thing. And I remember waiting for them to write me a check at the end of the night, and I only like asked them for $50, and it's like really funny now to think about, but again, like, that's what you have to do. Like, even $50 for me was like, yes, like, this is awesome, this is an event, this is a big deal, and I was so pumped about it. So yeah, that was my first gig. This one I love. They asked, how to ask someone if you can second shoot for them if you have little experience in weddings. Second shooting is so important. As a wedding photographer myself, most photographers start off second shooting before they do their own weddings, and it's just a good way to learn and see if you even like it without all the pressure of being the lead photographer. I remember I shot my very first wedding in 2014, and I second shot that entire year, and that very first wedding was the day that I knew that I wanted to do wedding photography, and it like propelled me forward, because my passion after that wedding grew so strong that it like made me hustle even harder to get to be the lead photographer. Yeah, so I would just say definitely just start reaching out to photographers in your hometown or wherever it is that you want to be shooting at, and hope that they can give you a chance to learn from them and to second shoot for them. Okay, so this is the last question I'm going to answer, and it is, what was your initial inspiration for wedding photography? And I love this question because I think it just ties back into passion. My initial inspiration was just loving love, as cheesy as that sounds, I know. I've just always loved weddings since I was little, and like I said, I was a wedding singer, and then I wanted to be a wedding planner. And when I had the opportunity to be a wedding photographer and actually like be such a big part in capturing someone's wedding day, it was just such an exciting feeling for me, and to create something for someone where they can go back and feel joy from that moment was just, it just fulfilled me so much. And I love that with weddings, I could shoot at the same venue literally every weekend, and it would be so different. Different family, different love story, different decorations, like, and I love that about wedding photography. Every wedding is different, and every wedding is unique, and every love story is different, and I just love telling love stories, so here I am. That was my initial inspo. So just to close out, I kind of wanted to leave you guys with my favorite quote that I kind of live by as an entrepreneur in general is, don't wait for work to come to you, go out and get it. And what that means is, don't ever sit around and wait for people to contact you for a job, especially in freelance. You have to make yourself known. You have to go out and get it. Especially in the photography world, there's so many photographers these days. You have to make yourself known to your potential client, and the best way to do that is to ask for the job you want or to go out and find it instead of sitting around and waiting. So action. Take some action. Thanks so much for watching that, guys. I know the sit downs aren't always as fun, but I think they're definitely informative, and I definitely want to sprinkle those in every now and again. So if you liked it, make sure to thumbs up and subscribe, maybe share with your friends, and let me know what kind of video you want to see next. What was your initial inspiration for photography? Seriously? Burbank Airport, love you, hate you right now.
Welcome to Scamming as a Photographer 101. I'm your teacher, Taylor. If you want to learn real tips, listen to Nicole. If you want to scam, follow my channel.
Chloe is the best nanny that we ever had, and you're the best photographer in the world.
And I love you.
And I love you.
Oh, okay, wait. Oh, I can breathe.